So we're going to open the Rules and Legislative Committee. Everyone's present except Commissioner Anderson, and talk to him. I could be late, I don't know, but everyone else is here. So it's next is prayer. John.
Almighty God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together for the people's business. We ask that what is said here tonight may be edifying and pleasing, and that we may all treat each other with respect, even in the midst of disagreement. We ask all of these things in your holy and almighty name. Amen.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of the December 19th, 2023 Rules and Legislative Committee minutes. Move to approve. Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Public comment period. Does anyone outside? I haven't had anybody, I didn't see anybody sign in or anything. Does anybody have, want to be recognized? There being none, we'll go on with the agenda. Next item is consideration of placing the January 9th, 2024 Commission minutes on the February 13th, 2024 Commission agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The next item is consideration of placing the notary applicants on the February 13th, 2024 County Commission agenda.
Motion to place them on the agenda.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The Veterans Report was in our packet. There were 52 veterans that were transported to the VA hospitals and 45 veterans that had been by the office in December. And we have the totals, and we generally look at them over the entire year through January, December of 2023. There were 711 veterans transported to the VA hospitals, and there were 890 visits to the office. So we do, as we generally do, want to commend Mike Roos. He's done a great job, and he might want to have something else to add to that.
And I'll also like to add that Ben Ely, who is the addition to the office this year, has done an outstanding job. He's a great researcher, and he's taken some things all the way to the state. He's done a great job for the office, for this county, and everything else. So I'd like to give Ben a lot of credit for what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any questions? Do we have any questions or comments? Being none, we'll go to the next item is the clinic report. All of these are for our own information only, but I believe the medical report, there were 90 that were served in December, and the dental report, I believe there were 72 patients that were seen last month. Is there any other comments or questions or any other discussion? Okay, and then we'll go to the next, the Ag Center report. Of course, they meet normally right before we do last week, and then we had the other report from December in there as well, but Commissioner Anderson is over that, and he usually brings us up to speed. But it looks just like they just had some general repairs in December. Fixing the front door was repaired. I think they were refinishing the kitchen floor, and there was some lighting in one building that was repaired as well, but pretty much standard. So the Joint Homeless Task Force, Mr. Hooker, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last week was a challenging time for the homeless with the weather, especially with the temperatures, with it getting down in the negatives. I do have just a little bit of report of kind of how that went, and some thank yous to several people who stepped up during that time. Very early on, Toby Sneed and Kay Bartley were in contact with myself and many other people across the city to be able to kind of work a process to be able to find some warm shelters, a warm area that we could get the homeless to during the critical moments during this last week, as well as being in contact with David Kitchens with EMS. He was involved through early on to kind of help spread the word through emergency services and kind of help us with those. And so a big thank you to him. EMS, they were big into being able to kind of, as they worked patients, being able to guide them to those warming locations, along with the Shelbyville Police Department and the Bedford County Sheriff's Department. Specifically, the two churches that stepped up to create warming shelters was Fairhaven Church and also Gateway Church. Both of those stepped up to be able to find a place for them to be able to get out of the weather for several days, and I think there were several homeless that utilized that. Over the last couple of months, I do apologize for not being here. I had a grandfather in the hospital one day, and then the other I had to work out of town. But I do want to kind of give you an update of where we're at with the homeless task force when it comes to our process of continuing to work with that group. We are working through a process now of finding a pricing structure for a tracking, I guess it's a software to be able to identify how many individuals in our community are considered homeless. And as I've spoke to you several times over the last several months, is we do consider homeless not only the people who are living in a tent, who don't have a home, but also couch surfing, as well as people who are living in cars, motels on a long-term basis. Those type people, we have to be able to find ways to help transition them into permanent housing. And so with that, we're not really able to come with recommendations until we get an accurate count. And so Jeff Rasnick at First Baptist Church, as well as Toby Sneed, which has been a significant benefit to the homeless task force, are working up a proposal to the task force of really what the cost would be for this particular software, as well as what the benefits of that. And so what happens is just to kind of walk you through what we're looking at is if an individual goes to the soup kitchen and they're asking for food, help with clothing or place to stay, then they would be able to put them into this database, and that would also then trigger an email out to all of our nonprofits throughout the community to say, hey, we have an individual, these are their needs, who can help? And so it kind of brings all of these different conduits together to be able to help expedite the necessities for these individuals. The other thing it does is it gives us an accurate count when we have these cold weather events of how many of these individuals do we need to go communicate with to be able to see if they need a better place to stay, to be able to see if they need a warming station to be able to help that through. And so that is kind of the next process of where we're at. We're going to be talking about that next month. That report will be given by both Pastor Rasnick as well as Toby Sneed, and I encourage anybody that wants to come and hear that. I think it would be extremely beneficial. One of the other items that we talked about in the last couple months was what kind of long-term solution do we need in Bedford County? Well, it is universal through both the nonprofits as well as most of the people on the committee that a long-term camping area is not, through the communities that we've discussed, is not a viable option because it does not create, number one, it doesn't fix the problem from the homelessness, but it also does not, it also creates a safety issue as well as an issue with being able to provide the proper resources to those individuals. And so we're continuing to communicate with other communities that have resolved some of these problems or have kind of moved forward. And again, I'll bring those to you as those come. The other thing that we've continued to communicate with are the drugs in Bedford County. That seems to be a contributing factor to a significant portion of this homeless community. And with that, we have had numerous updates from Chris Cook from the jail system of how his program is working with a lot of those individuals, as well as from Leticia Diaz, Shelbyville Police Department, that's a member of the committee, that kind of talks about a lot of the accessibility of those drugs within the city. So the thing is we've had a really good group, a lot of good conversation. Again, we're continuing to move forward with that. But the best thing that we're able to do is we're starting to pull the resources into a central location, which is the ultimate goal, is to be able to make it easier and accessible for these individuals. And then we had some good news of, we now have a mental health organization here in the community now, which is the first that we've had in a while. And so that puts us another step of being able to point those that have mental health in the right direction. And so, again, lots going on in the committee. Again, we're continuing to move forward. Hopefully, I'll have a little bit further on the actual true hardcore data within the next couple months.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I believe we have, I think Commissioner Mattis wants to.
Is the next meeting before the commission meeting? Is that what it's?
always the night of the commission meeting at 5:15.
What do we have?
This is in connection with the homeless. It's in, he gets set up here, he'll.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your time. This is something that I also feel is very important. I know that Commissioner Hooker made mention to it within his report. I'm going to read a statement to you, and then I'll be happy to quickly roll through this presentation very briefly. This is something that has been that's been kind of laid on my heart for a while, and something that I've spoken to many folks about, and I believe this is going to bring a solution to our county. So, Mr. Chairman, as we all are well aware that illegal drug use happens and exists here in Bedford County. We all would agree that we wish that this was not the case. The fact still remains that just like in other counties, we are also impacted by the issue. One of the main problems that we are facing today is not just the simple fact that people are using illegal drugs, but that illegal drugs that they're using now are even on the tip of a lead pencil. I'd like to help address the problem and help find solutions. Over the past several months, I've met with several key experts within various parts of our county infrastructure in an effort to eventually put together a group of people that will be called a coalition. And these folks are folks that I'm going to call experts. And these folks have agreed to come to the table to begin looking for viable solutions to the issue as it pertains to our county. After talking to constituents, the first agency that I reached out to was the Bedford County Sheriff's Office. I've had several productive meetings and conversations with Chief Deputy Nakia Elliott, very thankful for that. And then I've spoken with Dr. Garrett, and since then, the list of potential key expert stakeholders that I'd like to bring to the table are as follows. You'll see this again in the presentation. Myself solely as a facilitator, Nakia Elliott, Chief Deputy, Commissioner Troy Thompson. Chief Deputy is also going to bring a couple, maybe one or two deputies, an SRO, Benji Burris with the Judicial Services Lieutenant, city police personnel. Dr. Garrett is 100% on board. She's offering the assistance from Principal Pope, Principal King, Mental Health Director Lindsay Wiley. We would also like to get Juvenile Services involved. Mike DeJesus, the War Trace Fire Chief. Two pastors are listed, Pastor Lloyd Warren and Pastor Jimmy West. I'd also like to talk to the parole director and get buy-in there, as well as potentially bringing in recovering or recovered addicts. The mission statement is this. Through assessment, education, enforcement, and rehabilitation, we're committed to work cross-functionally, utilizing all available resources in an intentional effort to help fight illegal drug activity in Bedford County. Folks, we all know that this is not just a law enforcement issue. This is not just a school issue. This is an issue that is a county issue. My job will simply be one of facilitation. I'm not an expert in any of these areas. I want to make that very clear. I simply want to be in the room and help bring the experts to the table in a collaborative effort to help our county. Our first meeting will most likely be next month, and as I start to coordinate calendars. I simply wanted to respectfully inform you all here of those efforts, and Mr. Chairman, I'd like to receive your blessing. Just a couple of things on this presentation. You know, some folks would say that we don't have a problem, but I believe that we do, so do many constituents. As Commissioner Hooker just mentioned, we have a problem as it spans into our homeless. The target of this coalition is not to do anything other than provide a solution. It's not to point fingers, and it's not to do anything other than help us overall as a county. There are 4 pillars that I've broken everything down, and this is how I believe that we can start to operate. Number 1 is to take an honest, accurate assessment of the data that we have. I know that just today, I've had conversations with Director George. I know that today all the commissioners were able to receive the DTF data that we've asked for. I'm very appreciative to the Sheriff's Office and also to Director George for that data. So we'll take that data in conjunction with many other data points and then work cross-functionally to help provide solutions. There's already many solutions already in place. That's evident. But I believe that we can possibly take all of the solutions and bring all of these stakeholders to the table in an effort to identify those solutions and maybe even create more. And then at the end would be an accountability process just to make sure that we're maintaining the solutions that are already in place, review those solutions, and then inform the public of the actions and those activities. There are the members again. There's a quick picture of the amount of fentanyl that it takes as a lethal dose, and that comes directly from the DEA.gov website. The last point I'm going to make, and again, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your time, appreciate the time of the committee. My number 1 goal is to just help one person. I believe that if we can help one person, that one person then has an influence on all the others around that individual. That one person has an influence within the school system, within the community they live in, their family, their friends, their potential co-workers, their employees. I have a passion to help. I personally have never been addicted to drugs. I don't know what it's like, but I've seen the effects of addiction, and it's hard, especially on children. So I appreciate your time, and I will keep you very posted.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that everybody on this county commission, and I think I can speak for all of them, believe that drugs are the number 1 problem in our community. And so when you said that some people say that we don't have a drug problem, I think everybody agrees we have a drug problem.
Yes, sir.
And I think all of us want to find a way and find a solution. So thank you for thinking about this, and thank you for bringing this to our attention. So I'm going to assume, based on what you've done and who you've spoken with the district attorney, Rob Carter. He's on board, and he's supporting you fully on this.
I've spoke to Director Shane George, and he is supportive.
He's the drug task force.
Okay.
I asked about the district attorney.
I haven't spoken to the district attorney.
Okay, and you've spoken to the drug task force director, George, and he's fully engaged and on board and supporting
Absolutely.
you.
And he's offered to actually come and help, even open up a meeting.
And have you talked to the court system, Judge Rich?
I
Chancellor
haven't
Cox?
yet, no.
Have you spoken to the sheriff about this, but you've spoken to Nakia
I've
on
spoken
this?
to the sheriff briefly, and I've had meetings with Chief Deputy.
So the chief
Gill.
deputy, you are on board with all this 100%? Okay, and have you spoken to the county mayor? Is the county mayor on board
I haven't
with this?
spoken to the county mayor, no.
Have you spoken to the city of Shelbyville, mayor of Wartrace, mayor of
I've spoken to the mayor of Belleville.
Bellbuckle?
Yeah, I sure have.
And they're all on board with it?
Yeah.
And what do you want us to do on the county commission? What are you asking of us?
I don't need anything from you, Commissioner. I'd just like to have your blessing. And if you can offer any sort of help through this process, that would be great.
Well, that's interesting, because we all want to help, and you've already put it all together and you're just telling us here, you've already done all this, and you've just come to let us know that that's what you're doing.
You're more than welcome to attend the first meeting. Not sure
very
what your
kind of you.
objection is
No,
to this,
just
this
asking,
effort.
I'm asking, no objection, I'm just curious that this has already been done, and you've just come to us as fait accompli here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you acknowledging that. Do you have any other questions for me, sir?
Well, I think you kind of answered everything.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Commissioner.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your time.
Thank you,
I think
Commissioner
anything
Maddox.
we can do would be good.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Anybody's willing to take a leadership role and do what, I think this was, Commissioner Vick was just to make us all aware that he's starting this initiative, and it's just in the starting phases of
I
it.
just don't want to
And
be in
there's
the
some
middle
government
of a criminal
positions that are
investigation
not.
or any kind of thing that would jeopardize ongoing investigations with our judicial system and our sheriff department, with our district attorney, with our drug task force. I don't want to get put in the jackpot on that from the county commission. If you want to go do that, that's fine.
No, that's, and that, Commissioner, is a valid point, and I'll address that. That is a very valid point. And because of that, Chief Deputy and I have had many conversations, and the intent is that this would be open, the information that we would use, partake, divulge would all be public information. Anything pertaining to an ongoing investigation, it would be very detrimental for us to speak to that. It would be very detrimental for him to bring that to this committee. I believe the main intent of this is just simply, there are many people within the county. We have our education system, we have our law enforcement, we have us as citizens. There are a lot of folks that are doing independent things to either address the drug problem or they're just simply aware of it. My goal is just to bring everybody to the table. And I'm going to announce again, I'm not an expert at all. I'm just a guy that cares. And all I want to do is open the door and sit at the table and say, thank you, experts, for coming. How can I help?
Do you know when the meeting will be, the
Yes.
first meeting?
We're targeting a Thursday, I believe, Chief Deputy. Is that the best date? In February. We're going to do one in
So
the
we'll know then.
Any other questions for Commissioner Maddox? Thank you, sir, for telling us what our intent was, and I think anything we can push, any type of initiative to help with the drug situation is well done.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions concerning that? And certainly, I was on the homeless task force, and Lieutenant Cook is on there too, and he deals with that, drugs all the time, and it is, as he'll say, and all of them will, and law enforcement is number one problem, as we all know. Okay, is any other business to come before the committee? We got one last thing here, Commissioner Yaki.
Hopefully, this is the last one. These are rules 6, 7, 8, and 9, so this winds everything up. On the front page, there, I just added a county right there in this
Okay.
section B. The top of the next page, page 2, goes back to section E. What we've been doing is, as we did this past January, decide our standing committee memberships by the chairperson, talking to everybody and so forth. And as we realized from this last election, and Ginger has pointed out, we need to go to a September change of anything that we need to do as far as the committees. So if you would bear with me on the top of the second page, all standing committees of the Board of Commissioners shall be elected annually by a majority vote of the Board of Commissioners at each September meeting of the Board of Commissioners. Before the August meeting, the Rules and Legislative, before the Rules and Legislative meeting, the chairperson shall ask each commissioner which committee he wishes to serve on. The Rules and Legislative Committee, acting as a nominating committee, shall submit nominations for the standing committee positions to the Board of Commissioners based partially on seniority and individual preference. And then delete those last 3 sentences. We've already covered the death and the resignation in section 1P. So that comes completely out. So what this is asking, instead of doing it in January, we do it in September, so that we don't get into this thing that we got into on this last election. The last red paragraph that says the chairpersons of the standing committees have the same voice, I'm gonna move that down to section H, which talks about the chairpersons. Everything else that's changed is either just a rewording. There's not anything that's different about it. I did insert on section L, the public comments under the standing committees also. We've got it under the county commissioners. And Ginger may say that we can move that somewhere else and do it just as one, but, the rest, under bylaw 7, these are appointed subcommittees. We've only had one every so few years, but should there be one? So section B is talking about the mayor appointments on boards and so forth, so that needs to come out, and I've moved it to Rule 8, Section A. So again, it's just reshuffling of things. On the Rule 8, on all the boards and department heads and so forth, there was just a lot of verbiage in all of these, and so I pulled everything out to read just at the top what everything should be. And the thing that we want to do is that the membership on these boards will be approved on an annual basis in the March or September meeting. And the mayor may want that changed to January, July, but at least twice a year, because there's so much rotation, and they've got a program now that will tell you who's coming up, and so that we don't get into a lawsuit on not having done what we're supposed to do. So everything else is just taking out stuff that we didn't need and rewording things. The main thing is that rule about the September meeting, or September appointments.
Yeah, are there any questions from the committee or the commissioners?
On, where it says, on this 911, says take out, no, are we taking that? No, we're adding that, appointed by county mayor, subject to approval by the commission, and it says delete, so we're taking that out?
Where are you, Anita? Help me back.
Bylaws number 9,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, number 11.
it's number 11 on,
911 board emergency communication.
The 911 board doesn't exist anymore.
I think it does.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not the 911. The EMS board does not exist.
no, this is 911,
What number is that one? 11?
number 11.
11, yeah.
Every county shall have a board of directors is required,
Uh,
appointed by the mayor, subject to approval of the commission.
yeah, and then it says delete.
Scott, can you help me on that one?
Aaron,
The,
can you find
the
it?
911 board, does it have to come before the commission?
And then it goes,
Okay.
right.
Okay, I don't know why, Anita, so I'll zap that, leave that in there.
Good work, Commissioner Young.
Same thing on 16.
Yeah, senior citizen.
There had to have been a reason why I did what I did, but I'll think about it. And if anybody sees anything else, just please let me know. I'm gonna try to get I can get over all this head mess, try to get with Ginger within the next few weeks and let her go over everything, make sure we're compatible with what we're supposed to be doing.
No more
Any
questions.
questions?
I don't.
You have anything else, Mr. Yockey?
Thank you, Commissioner Yockey.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Okay, I believe we have, one other, item under other business. It was a zoning change request. Mukesh Chadhari, map 079, parcel 010.00. The applicant has requested a change of zoning classification from A1 agricultural forestry to C2 general commercial district for commercial uses. The planning commission in its November meeting unanimously recommended rezoning to the county commission. The property is currently an unimproved vacant 1 acre lot near the intersection of 41A North and Grand Station Boulevard, which is Union Station Development. The subject parcel and unincorporated parcel adjoins Brad's Market parcel, which is fully inside the corporate city limits of Shelbyville. The new owner of Brad's Market would like to rehab the old building and update its facade and move the fuel pump island to this parcel. Currently, the fuel island now sits almost entirely within the highway right-of-way, making ingress and egress to and from the fuel island to the highway dangerous. I came in from Franklin today, and someone had to go on without risk of being caught. That is very true. I witnessed that today. The owner wants to demo the old fuel island and build a larger island to the side of Brad's Market on the subject parcel.
I think the Plan Commission unanimously approved it, so I'd move for approval to send to the commission, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second. Is there any questions or any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any other business to come before the committee? Certainly be safe. I think we're through the worst of it. We've had some really terrible cold weather. Okay, is it motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, so moved. Okay.
Meeting to order. Note that Mayor Graham is out. He's under the weather, and I think some other commissioners are too, so remember them in our prayers, and Commissioner Maddox is going to pray for us.
Yes, let's pray. Dear God, thank you for this opportunity to come together. Lord, thank you for keeping your hand over our county. Lord, thank you for the resources that you provided for us. Lord, I pray that I know that there are folks out there still that are reeling in from this storm. Lord, I just pray that you'd put a hedge of protection around them. Lord, I pray that you would show us how to help them. Lord, thank you again for all your many blessings and for your son who died for us on the cross. Lord, it's in your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, I guess probably, and I don't know if the Rules and Legislative didn't address this, but would be to nominate the chairman and vice chairman of the committee of the law enforcement. Somebody
Chairman,
wants-
I'll make a motion, we leave as is, you chairman, Commissioner Benson, vice, or Mayor Graham?
Is it you?
However you, okay.
Okay.
I second, that's.
All right, we got a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
That's all.
We voted.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right.
Everybody.
I don't know if we were supposed to do that or not,
But
but
we did it.
we did it, so it could be in vain. And before we, well, we'll go ahead and approve the minutes from December 19th, 2023 Law Enforcement Committee.
Make that motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public comment. Don't see if he wants to make a comment. I will make a comment on Mr. Commissioner Maddox's committee that he's wanting to I think it's a good thing. It's always good to have eyes and ears to listen to these people. And let me just say, drugs is not our only problem. There's alcohol, there's mental issues, and it all ties together. And it don't just destroy children, it destroys families of all ages. And a lot of us have been affected by it. I grew up with an alcoholic father. My wife did. Had a son that's had a battle with it, has overcome. So it affects everybody in a certain way. Even if you've not had a family member that's been affected by this, you probably know somebody who has and has destroyed a family. And it's so, I think it's a good thing, and it sounds like you've got a goal and we can work, y'all can work toward, and I support you 100% and wish you well. And like I say, if you can make a difference in one person's life, you've made a change. You know, and maybe that spreads on to other people. And I know the sheriff's department works hard, and I've seen it personally, you know, with medical calls that we run on these people. It's not who they are. It's not who they are at all. They've just gotten in the wrong crowd or made bad choices. And with our SRT program, we're seeing results. Positive results. MRT program, we're seeing results of that. That is a working program. Is there going to be failures? Yes, there will be. But there's a lot more success than there are failures. And that's what we're striving for. All right, I've said enough. Animal control, you're first up. Okay.
I ran some numbers and did a fun fact. I'll explain it all. If you guys want to pull one out of there. The only thing I have, the numbers, I don't have anything to add to for the month of December, but I would like to add some other numbers for the year and some statistics. Last year, we took in 696 animals. We ended the year with a 9.5% euthanasia rate, which I was a little concerned we were not going to hit under 10%. The reason it was high this year, you know, we had a bunch of cats and kittens break with the ringworm and upper respiratory. We had to make some hard decisions, but we still did end as a no-kill shelter, is what Tennessee considers a no-kill shelter. So I'm very proud to end that way. I was a little concerned. Since 2016, now, this number, it's crazy. We have taken in 6,570 animals since 2016. The past year, we had a 91.5% live release rate. It's really good. That's going to open us up to apply for a couple more grants. Anything over 90%. Few other grants open up at that point. So that was really good. We spayed 74 cats, 129 dogs, and we neutered 69 cats and 132 dogs, for a total of spaying and neutering 404 animals. I think that's really good for our little rural shelter here. My team, they turn into vet techs. Doctor comes in and we get them knocked out. So very proud of them for that. Not a lot of people can do everything that's asked of them, but they do. Our team does. And just a fun fact for you, one female dog and her babies can produce about 67,000 puppies in a 16-year time frame. With just the female dogs alone being spayed, we have saved about 8,643,000 lives. So if that kind of puts numbers into perspective, I was just really proud. I do want to thank Mark and Miss Suzanne Alexander and a couple other people had reached out to make sure during this weather that we were okay. We learned a lot. We learned that our four-wheel drive is extremely light. However, we do have some really good drivers on this mess. I myself am from the north, but we did the best we can. We're going to have to step on some heating procedures in our dog waiting kennels, because when it hit to that negative night, everything I had froze. Even though pipes were dripping, like I'm talking our cleaning protocols, and it was a mess. So I just want to say that I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody reaching out, and I really, really appreciate my team. They came in. They didn't fuss about it. They did the best they could. My officers, they remained safe. Might have took them a minute to get where they needed to go, but they did remain safe, and I'm very proud of them for that.
Your fun fact down there, just
Yeah.
the one female dog can produce 67,000
About with our
over a
offsprings.
16-year. Wow, that just kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, I kind of, when I went over these numbers, I was like,
is
what?
that an average number?
It's an average
because I know
number.
some have 2, and then I've seen litters as many as 16 on an Irish setter I had.
Right, and that's kind of
Yeah.
averaged, like the ASPCA and the
Yeah.
United States Humane Association, like they have numbers like this all the time, and to their best grouping of numbers, this is about as accurate as you can get.
Yeah, well, that's just amazing. And let me just say, I'm proud of your shelter and the no kill, because that was our intention.
Yep.
And I got a heart for animals. I mean, I don't care what it is. I don't like snakes, but I don't want nobody to kill them either. You
Right.
know, I'm not
Right, I
gonna hold them, but that that's good.
Okay.
I appreciate you doing that and the
Yeah.
hard work y'all
Yes,
do.
ma'am.
Do you see some more community education within our community, somehow, some way?
So we, since I took over the director's position, something that we used to do when I first started in 2014 is we would do outreach education with our youth, with the Ag Center, anytime they had programs. Somewhere between, I don't know, in the middle of me being there, I'll be there 10 years in October. Somewhere in between that, we kind of lost sight of that. However, when I took over the director's position, I really wanted to get back out into the public, because I absolutely think things have to change with our younger generation. It has to start somewhere. And if we can get through to the children, the teenagers, even young adults, it has to start somewhere with positive leadership. It has to start with them understanding we're not just down there to hurt animals. We do the job because we love them and want to keep our community safe. Um, we have been getting back out there. 2 years ago, we were invited. We went out to the Ag Center. Oh, I feel like we talked to like 10,000 kids. They just kept coming in groups.
They love dogs
And-
and cats.
And I was, yeah, it was a lot. I have went and I've spoken at Thomas. I was invited to Central. So I have put back out there that anytime they need us to come and speak, I teach dog bite prevention, rabies control, stuff like that. What should you do if you're this small and there's an aggressive animal? So yeah, we have been doing more community outreach. I would like to do some more.
Is there a unique program, innovative program on the market?
No, ma'am, but maybe we need to
You need to create one.
create one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Write the book.
maybe we need to create one. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Sheriff, I hate that you sat down, you just got here. I was gonna move you to the bottom of the list, but come on.
Usually not that good. Okay. Well, I know y'all got this report, but I'm hit a few things. The Bedford County Sheriff's Department in the month of December patrolled 59,274, and by the way, that doesn't include my miles. I'm not sure if it includes the chief's, but anyhow, that is 1,900 miles a day, so there's a lot of patrol out there. We served 636 warrants, 202 arrests, and I'm not going to get on the corrections part because I guess Ronald's here somewhere. Just a few things. We had 339 investigations, 79 traffic accidents, 53 motorist assists, and we transported in custody 81 people, 196 traffic stops, and answered 45 911 calls. On the courtroom end of it, they changed this. They set up a different format on every one, so I had to refigure them out. Looks like 30 court sessions in the month of December. There was 1,572 people that was supposed to be in court that were there. And there was 4,059 people that came through the front of the judicial system. So pretty busy there too. On the drug task force, I've got 16 reports or investigations in the district, and this is also for the month of December. Approximately 23 defendants were identified as arrested or indicted. 10 firearms were seized from drug defendants. Marijuana, crystal meth, cocaine, cocaine base, 588 doses of a controlled prescription medication, most of which is suspected to be fentanyl, were confiscated. The Drug Task Force investigated 3 previously convicted felons, one which was out on supervised felony parole. 3 defendants were on bond at the time. This agency responded to 2 Department of Children's Services at the request of, could have been us or it could have been Shelbyville or Lewisburg, as referrals of drugs that where children had been exposed or possibly exposed to drugs. So they were pretty busy too in December. And that's pretty much what I've got. Obviously, we had a busy week last week with the weather, but I know everybody else did as well. So if there's any questions, I'll try to answer.
Back in the days, we used to do drug take-back day.
Yeah,
Is that program still viable, or is it still going on?
I think the short answer is yes. The thing is, that used to be, as you said, we did it like once or twice a year. We do it year-round now. I just tell them to bring it up there, and they can turn it into usually CID, and then we turn it over to Chattanooga to,
Okay. Because we used to have a
yeah,
container outside the
Yeah.
door.
It was a
that
big
you could
thing.
drop it.
it was, and as far as I know, they're still doing that, but as I say, instead of making people wait 6 months or even a year, we just tell them to bring it on at any time,
I
and we
tell you,
can,
it was amazing what we collected
yeah,
within that short period of time. Just the drugs coming from a cancer patient,
yeah. And of course, that's when we,
buckets and bags.
yeah,
that-
first
that-
started, and a
for-
lot of
yeah.
people had drugs that they had had for years and years and years. But you're right, there's a lot of it. It's a good thing, keeps it out of the water system and keeps it out of the wrong hands, and,
Keeps it out of the teenagers,
yeah.
children's, and grandma's cabinet. I
Yeah.
just wondered if that was something that we should look at, or I'm just
Yeah,
inquiring,
right.
since we're working on drugs.
You helped on that,
Oh, yeah, many times, but it was successful.
absolutely.
All right, Commissioner Maddox, Mr. recognized.
Ms. Sheriff, first of all, thank you. It's been a tough week out on the, out on the roads. I know that, everybody, as far as, emergency response folks, your team, y'all have done a great job. We thank you.
And thank you.
I also want to just simply say thank you again for the report you gave. It was a detailed report. And I also want to thank you for working with the powers that be. I know I also had a conversation with Director George, and we were able to work out getting the whole commission this report in writing. And it means a lot to me, and I know that it'll help us start to begin to create a baseline of where we are today and how we can possibly get better as a county. But I just wanted to pause and say thank you for that. And for the commissioners that may not be aware, this report just hit our inbox right before this meeting. So you also have a copy of it. But thank you again, Sheriff.
I was getting a little nervous because I talked with Director Shane George yesterday, and I thought everything was on track, and here it was getting about 4:30, and I didn't have anything. I thought maybe everybody got it but me, but. So I sent him a text, and then he emailed it to me.
Well, I appreciate it. I acknowledge that the only way that we can make positive differences and continue forward in a positive way is to work together. I appreciate you working with us.
Any further comments? You've got the report from the jail on the back page of that. Some meals and stuff on there.
Well, yeah,
He's,
the
I'm sure he's-
chief said something came up, Ronald's
Yeah.
not here.
and he can catch us up next.
Yeah,
meeting.
or have y'all got, I don't know if y'all got that or not,
It's on the back of it.
Well, it's just the meal report,
okay,
basically for the juvenile and
That's-
for the jail,
okay, well, that's basically what I
but,
got too.
as far as his intake and stuff, and I know there's been some issues out there that they've been working on, so.
We had one day last week, we was about ready to pull our hair out. What all happened in one day? This all happened one day.
Yeah,
Oh, gee.
I just say, I know he's not in here, but Kim Leverett has earned his money and he's got. We had another water break today, so that may be wrong. But everything is taken care of. We got heat again,
got water?
right now.
All right. Any further questions? Hearing none, EMA report?
After last week, I don't have anything to add to. So I'll say this, that I appreciate everyone from our public safety folks to
people in this room, the patients. I talked to Scott Johnson, and I think he stepped out. So on my radio program on January the 5th, I said on the radio that the second week in January we need to look at because we're going to have really, really cold weather. And little did I know that they didn't say anything about snow then, and we talked about it going to be cold and people to get prepared for the cold, and I was talking about the radio. So hopefully they heed that warning, and some of the folks did those things. I think last week, all of us, this is the key all the things, we learned some lessons on some things that we need to look at and maybe tweak a little bit. And we did with our group also. So I know there's been a lot of things going on. I'll kind of just give a brief update on some things. We had some water issues across the county. We had some in Bell Buckle that started at the end of the week. I worked with Bell Buckle and commissioners out there to try to help them with their problem. Right now, it looks like they're on a slow mend. It's going to take a little while. That's kind of one of the reasons why people saw on Facebook that Cascade is group out there is not going. That's the water issue. It's low, and we're trying to build that up. So we appreciate the school system working with them on that. Also, we had an issue in Flat Creek area, small section out there that Cheval Water took over, I think, in 2018. So I've been working with them also. They are on the mend. I talked to them this afternoon later. They're getting their tanks back and going, but they do have, at both places, made preparations for people to have bottled water if they needed to pass out. So that went well, but we've just like the Sheriff's Department fought through different things that's gone on all week. And once again, I just like to say thanks to everybody and thanks to Public Safety. I thought they did a very, very good job. I believe that's the longest I've had to deal with snow and ice on the ground is 7 days. So, I guess that's all I have. If y'all have some questions.
Mr. Matt?
I know that Commissioner Hooker is going to say a few things as well, and I don't want to steal his thunder. But he and I were kind of tied to the hip this weekend in Bell Buckle as they requested help. But, you know, Mayor Lokey and Mark Bryant, the water manager, their A-plus effort, I think, is the reason why we're on the men there in Bell Buckle, not out of the woods, but the citizens there did a great job of adhering to the request to slow the consumption of their water. But I wanted to tell you that there's a peace of mind that knowing that the next level up, there's somebody there that's ready to take care of you. And what you did this weekend for us was that. Drew Hooker, Commissioner Hooker, was the one tasked with calling you. I was there with him when those conversations took place. I witnessed it all. But I'll tell you that the professionalism that your office showed to the town of Bell Buckle this weekend was first class.
Thank you.
And I personally just want to tell you thank you.
Thank y'all. We worked with them. Before we got started, we were in the process of, hey, we're headed this way. So they were very open about this, the suggestions that I would have to them, the things that they needed to start getting in place. So that's what our office does, is try to prepare for, and then we react when something happens. And I appreciate your kind words. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you again.
Any further questions? None, thank you. Juvenile detention. Here. But you
do have the recording closed. The probation,
So everyone's got a copy of the report, but the facts I wanted to report on, I took a hard look at the report site down here by the river, and we started it in June, and our first month we had 138 clients report to that location. The number I highlighted here is October because it was our last 4-Friday month. September had an extra Friday, so that's the reason I didn't choose that month. But in October, we had 320 clients report. So I took it a step further. That's 182 more clients that reported in October at that location than did when we first started offering that. But I wanted to, like I said, take it a step further. In October of 2022, we had 775 total clients report, and we wasn't, offering this. October 2023, we had 975 clients total report. So that's 200 more clients that's reported overall for the month. To me, that means it's a success because having a place here in town has helped them walk up and report or, come on their lunch hours. But I just wanted to give you that data and point out that I do think that this location is definitely making a difference in our compliance.
Great.
question on that.
Okay.
Without that facility, you were up a little over 200. If those people hadn't reported to you out there at your main office, would they been turned over as violation of probation?
Yeah, it's one of the.
And then they'd have went right back into the system and
Correct.
new court dates, appointed attorneys and all that, and then we'd be right back in the same boat.
That's
So
correct.
that's 200 people that didn't go back into the court system because of the convenience.
Correct.
That's good.
Most of it's transportation.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, a lot of it.
A lot of it's transportation.
go ahead.
I know that they're responsible for reporting, so, but what's their feedback been? I mean,
It's been great. During the cold, the last Friday that we were there, we had one of the clients walk up to report who lives under the bridge.
yes, sir.
And we were trying to convince him to, find shelter this weekend.
Yes, sir.
We knew his sister at one point was on probation, so we asked him to reach out to her and let him, stay at her place just for, throughout this. Brought him into the building, let him make a phone call to her, just trying. Unfortunately, the relationship wasn't that great and she wouldn't allow it. But we had several walk up during that Friday that we brought in, gave them water, let them sit in there and warm up for a while. We're getting a lot of good feedback from the clients. People that, DUIs and they're not supposed to be driving, but, the people that's bringing them to this location is thankful because driving out there was a hardship for them.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we're getting a lot of good feedback from them.
It's great news. Thank you.
Any further questions? All right, this time we'll need to approve the reports as presented.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Other reports? Any old business to come before the committee? Any new business? Any announcements? This is a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Call the Courthouse and Property Committee to session, and we have our chair, Julie Sanders. She is sick again, so she is absent, and Adam Thomas is working on the ambulance tonight, so I'll be filling in as chair. Commissioner Thompson, do you mind opening us up in a word of prayer?
Let's pray, please. Lord, we thank you for another week. Lord, thank you for those protection you've guided over the ones that needed protection, those that are out or needed something besides the weather. Lord, thank you for your guidance. Watch over this committee and watch over this government as we do county business. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. All righty, need minutes approval, so the approval of the December 19th Courthouse Property Committee meeting, minutes.
Approve, I make a motion to approve.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any public comments? All right, don't see any public comments. I know it's that time of year to elect a chair and vice chair. If it's okay with the group, just since we have two members absent, would y'all be opposed to deferring that to next month?
Absolutely.
You okay with that?
Do I need a motion to defer
Yeah.
until next month?
We do.
Yeah,
I'll
go
make a
ahead.
motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. So, starting with our reports, the codes department. There we go. I don't see a report, zoning. Suzanne, do we know if we have a report on that? We don't see one in our packet. Codes? All right, if you wouldn't mind, just see if she could send that out to us over the next week or so. That'd be great. Oh,
She is out
Oh,
on,
she out?
she had a very serious accident
well, I didn't know
before
that.
Christmas, and she's been out on medical leave, and so,
I did not know that.
yeah, so hopefully she'll be able to return in a week or so.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, but absolutely, we'll keep her in our prayers for sure. All right, so moving on to planning and zoning.
All right. You guys have my report. Sorry for the delay in my November report. I was under the weather for quite a while there in that month. And also, I'm hearing a little bit weird because I've got some brand new hearing aids. I've only been wearing them for like 2 hours, so it's a little weird. But I'll get used to them. But anyway, the only thing I'd like to make a different comment on my report is that for months we've been talking about this comprehensive plan and when is this thing going to come to fruition. And I will say that as of Monday morning, I finally got another email from my engineer that I've been working with out of Nashville, and unfortunately, she sent me all sorts of stuff that I have to do. So anyway, they made a lot of progress over the last 3 months, and that's the last time I talked to them was 3 months ago, and they told me they were going to really try to push and try to get something to me in the next 3 months. And so, as they stated, they did get me something in 3 months, but unfortunately, now it's on me to get some things back to them, and it's going to take quite a bit of work to do that. But I did keep you guys in the loop. That is hopefully something we can get resolved soon.
So will that be, do we have like an estimated time of when you'll start the public comments and meetings again? Is that going to probably be in the summer or?
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it's something we could actually start fairly soon. Again, it's just they have been so hard to get in touch with, and they're the ones that have to put them on. I lost the engineer that I had, the one that we had that first comment period with. And I mean, literally the week after that meeting, I lost her. And so then it took forever to get her replaced. And then, anyway, but then they were just so far behind on my plan. I mean, this is something we've been working on for quite a long time. And so I kind of held their feet to the fire 3 months ago, and I got a great response from the team because I got all the supervisors and everything involved, and they, for the first time, I think, had looked back on the record of the case and realized just how bad their employees have been working, responding to me. But it's just been a comedy of errors from COVID to just all this turnover with their company and things like that, it just seemed like as soon as I got somebody, that they would go to a different company, and then I'd get somebody replaced, and then they would go to, so anyway. I think we're on the right track. She sent me just a plethora of things that I need to work on my end and get back to them so they can complete the report. So I think right now it's in my ballpark, so.
Well, thank you for your hard work and staying on it. I know this is an important step in our county, and just appreciate your hard work and diligence to stay with it, because I know it's hard working with so many different vendors that we don't have control over. We're really at their mercy on some things. So. But thank you.
One other thing that I'd like to comment about, and I don't want to embarrass anybody out in the real world, but for a number of years, I've been having some major problems with principally one professional surveyor. And what that does is it puts a burden on principally me, because I do all the plat reviews, I do all the plan reviews, and so in my department. And so what happens is I have to look at these plats over and over and over again. So I reject the plat and this last one with this surveyor had 11 errors on it, which is unheard of for a professional surveyor. Sometimes, very rarely, I'll get one error and we'll talk about it on the phone and it'll fix it and then it's done. But some of these people, mostly one person, I might have to look at this thing 4 or 5 times. And I'll send very detailed responses and exactly how to correct it, and then I'll get it back and they'll fix 3 of the 11. And then I'll have to do it all over again. So I guess probably only reason why I'm saying this is be looking for, I think, a solution that's similar to what I did back when I still had codes department, where we had one inspector for a while was having a hard time hiring another inspector, and essentially everything was just booming. And we had, when the building industry is really vibrant and active, you'll have a lot of people get in the game that don't really know what they're doing. And so we end up, through the inspections process, we teach people how to do these jobs. And so that placed a huge burden on the codes department to try to keep up with codes, because they're inspecting things multiple times. They'll inspect it, fail it, come back, have to do another inspection, fail it again, do another inspection, fail again, sometimes 6 or 7 times before they get it right. And what that does is it slows us down from taking care of somebody else who it does know what they're doing. So when you got a lot going on, it's a big deal. And the way we solved that through, in the codes department at the time is we just came up with a strategy where if a person submitted or asked for an inspection, it was the normal fee for an inspection. But if they failed it, you allow them to fail it one time and then go back for a reinspection without any additional cost. But if you fail it a second time, then there's a fee involved. And then if you fail it a 4th time, it's double that fee. The 5th time, you double that fee. And so we only do it like 4 times, and then it's pretty significant after that. But what that does is that really makes them not want to fail inspections. And what it does is, instead of calling, just saying, oh, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, I know my plumber probably went out there and fixed that situation, it actually gets them to call the plumber, hey, did you go out there and fix that before I call for another inspection? Because that's what that would happen. You go out there with inspectors, go out and try to inspect something that nobody had even resolved or even attempted to resolve. So I think what I probably want to do is I'll probably be coming back to you guys for a fee schedule amendment where I'll propose something like that, where surveyors would submit a plat, and that's a normal plat fee. And if it's rejected once, hey, so be it, that happens. And 99 times out of 10, that's all it is. They'll fail it once. But if they fail it a second time, then when they come back, they're going to have to bring another fee.
Do we have something similar in the codes department currently?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how we solved it, and it did solve the problem. We weren't really looking at it as a solution to raise more money. We were looking at it as a solution to make sure the inspection process went a lot smoother for everybody.
Well, if you're giving them a free opportunity to, if you make a small mistake, or, you're giving them that opportunity to be able to fix it, if they're continuing to come back and they're only fixing part of it, I could see where that would definitely cause struggles, so.
Yeah. And they're licensed professionals, they're licensed by the Department of Commerce Insurance, just like any other licensed professional in the state. And I will say, I did, for the very first time in 15 years, I filed an official complaint to the Board of Surveyors on this person for just some horrendous stuff. They were leaving customers out. One former commissioner that was building a project, couldn't get him to return his calls. He'd already paid him. He couldn't get the work done. He couldn't, for months and months and months, he just wouldn't return his calls. And so that was just one situation out of numerous situations and dozens of situations over the last decade or so. It's just gotten out of hand. I felt like, it's something that I'm not quick to do. I feel like most of the time we can show people what we expect of them, and we've got a set of rules that are printed, and this is exactly what you're supposed to do when you turn in a plat. This is exactly what you do if you're a developer and you're turning in a subdivision plat. They all have these published rules. It's just not rocket science, but when we're going to the effort to give them detailed explanations of how do you resolve this, and you still don't get it, and it takes you 3 or 4 more times to get it right. It's just taking a lot of our manpower, a lot of our time and efforts, and So anyway, just giving you a heads up on that.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Thank you, Chris. All right, IT department?
You should have a copy of my report. And I didn't have anything to add to the report other than during the days that we were off, that we had several people that needed remote access to their machines, and we're able to support that. And even though the weather's around, we can be reached by phone, and we try to make sure the emergency offices and administrative offices have resources available to do their work during storms, and even when we're not in session. So that worked out really well this time around. We didn't have any problems. No water issues, no pipes bursting, no frozen pipes this time, so we escaped that catastrophe this time around. But I didn't have anything else to add unless you guys have any questions for us.
I talked to Josh today on the phone, and I just want to give kudos to his department. The AV stuff in this room and in the commission room, they've been able to do a professional job of really being able to stream these meetings. I've heard several people in the public that have, really enjoyed the quality and the clarity of it, and he did it in a very small budget. And so I think that, that your department, along with all your employees, definitely deserve a pat on the back for the hard work you're doing, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you. All right, fire department.
You also have a copy of my report. I don't have anything to add to the report, but I will tell you that we have taken delivery of the air packs, or SCBAs as we call them, that we got on the federal grant. We're in the process now of 4 pieces to each one of them, and they all got a embedded chip in them that has to be scanned, and then it goes into a database, and then we put it in a spreadsheet so we can get it in our inventory. So we're in that process, and you think when you go to the grocery store, you know how it is when you put your card in the machine, you don't read it right every time, Do it 2 or 3 times and put a bag over. Well, we're having to do the same thing, but we'll get there. So
What brand did you end up getting? What brand did you end up getting?
MSA
Okay.
brand. There's not but 3 companies that even make them anymore. So, and the company, we had Survivor. That was a brand. They were bought out by Honeywell, and Honeywell was bought out by somebody else, and so they don't even make what we have anymore. So, we've got 112 of them. Every one of them got 2 bottles, batteries. They're battery operated. They're fully electronic, smart air packs, you might say. I don't know about the ones wearing them, but okay. But anyway, I'll be one of them probably. But like I say, we're in the process of getting that inventoried, and we're taking, right now, the past 3 days, we're taking classes on them. The manufacturer sends an instructor down, and he trains us called Train the Trainer, and I know Drew's familiar with that, so that we can carry it to the volunteer departments and train them on how to use it, because it's totally different from what we're used to these days. And so that's, like I say, getting them all identified and getting them deployed, and then getting all of our old stuff turned back in. And the federal government hasn't told us what we can do or what we should do with our old. They're probably going to say destroy them. I don't know. But they can tell you exactly what they want you to do with your old equipment. So we'll cross that bridge at some point. But
I was talking to Ronnie, and y'all are getting a new cascade system out at Station 7, is that correct?
yes, we got that on a grant. There is some other things that are coming about that I'm not privy to talk about at this time. So, but yes, yeah, that'll give us 4 cascade compressor systems in the county. So,
And that's unheard of. I mean,
and
a
so
lot of
that
counties
just
don't.
means that we don't have to take the air bottles that we wear on our backs and run all over the county. You know, we've got them in districts now where they're more convenient to fill up and get air. And they're only good for, they say 45 minutes, but truly you only get about 30 minutes air out of them. And then you're rotating bottles, or somebody's going and filling them up. We also have a mobile unit that Scott helped me get through a FEMA grant one time. And so we got good capabilities there.
Yeah, I mean, rural communities like this, I mean, they just don't have cascade systems that prevalent. And so that's just another testament to how hard y'all are working and putting this together and getting grants. And so thank you for the hard work.
And then,
with this.
you know, I will touch a little bit on last week's weather. It was challenging for everybody, especially for us, you know, with those heavy fire trucks. And we did have one call where a car was flipped upside down. People were trapped in it. Fire truck was parked off the shoulder of the road, one set of tires, and it started sliding toward the wrecked car, which was in a 40-foot drop-off. And everybody had to vacate the vehicle that we were working on in fear of that truck sliding off and rolling off on top of it. Luckily, it stopped. 2 hours later, we got that truck out. Nobody was in it, you know. It was scotched just like we were supposed to do, you know, but it was challenging, you know, with that ice out there. And nobody, like I say, our trucks have what we have called automatic tire chains. They're mounted under the truck. But the snow and ice had built up around the axle where these chains were mounted, broken airline, and so they wouldn't deploy. So, and that's, I mean, it's just part of the nature of the beast that we don't see a whole lot around here, but we got hit hard last week, and like everybody else, we had some broken water lines. So, but other than that, I mean, we survived pretty good, I think.
Thank you. Just while we're talking about it, I mean, I was privileged enough to be able to down in Bell Buckle through the weekend to help Chief Loki and Mayor Loki and Mark with the water department, but also communicating about the emergency services and things going on throughout the county and the dedication that y'all showed, because while we're sitting at home in the warm, y'all are out running calls, you know, providing those services across the county. And again, just the dedication of everybody that we've seen across the county that really put a lot of time and effort into protecting the community, providing water for the community, and doing everything. And I applaud y'all for the work you do, and just thank you. And please relay that to your firefighters, that we appreciate everything they're doing.
And I will, and let me just carry that a little bit further. All of our county departments work very well together. I mean, it's just totally amazing to me when you see catastrophe happen, whether it's in the department or through our community, and even the citizens that we serve come out and help us. I mean, it's truly amazing that the people that are out there that's not affiliated with a department, is a volunteer or paid, how everybody comes together to help. Bedford County is really unique. And you say, well, IT department's very important. Finance office plays a big part. They were coming in and getting us POs, even though everybody was shut down. If we still have equipment that breaks down, you have to go get parts and stuff like that. And we do everything by POs, you know, and nothing wrong with that. But everybody comes together to make sure that we get the job done for the people we serve. And like I say, our citizens out here, how it's just truly amazing to see them bring their tractors and four-wheel drive trucks and help everybody. Tow truck drivers. I had to borrow what they call a snatch block. It's a big hook with a pulley in it. I didn't have one big enough to pull that fire truck out of that ditch, so wrecker driver brought me one. They wouldn't bring a wrecker because the road was too slick. So we borrowed theirs, and like I say, everybody comes together to help people, and I'm proud of Bedford County for that.
And on that note, Bell Buckle contacted Mike's Auto, the wrecker service, and he drove to town and got 6 pallets of water and brought it out there to have it ready in case they ran out of water. I mean, you're right. We're very lucky to live in the county we live in and have the citizens that we have and the county employees that we have. And it just shows in times of need like that. So, but thank you for those kind words for the county. So, all right, the E911 reports in your packet. Any questions on that? All right, GIS.
Not too much to add to the printed report. I stayed busy from home last week, announcing closings and schedules and fielding. We had one person messaged us on Facebook, complaining about their mail delivery, and it's like, well, we'll get right on that. But other than that, the written report is there. I will be out of the office next week. I'm having a kidney stone procedure. It was supposed to have been done last week, but for some reason they weren't doing elective procedures last Wednesday. I'll be out for a couple days with that. And we did use the newsletter mailing list. We did use that for some of the closing announcements last week, and that seemed to work well to do that. We try not to overdo that. We try not to flood people with email because then they unsubscribe from the list. But I think it was appropriate to use that. I think we used it 3 times last week to announce closures. So.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for doing the EMS been requested by the lady.
I have really been enjoying it. I've had 2 sessions, and Zoe was actually the one that kind of halfway responsible for me doing it. She was the one that mentioned it to me. But I've had 2 sessions so far, and it's just been really rewarding. They've been very receptive, and I hated to miss it this past Friday. So, but I think that's going to be a good thing. So.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, John. Okay. All righty. Can I have a motion to approve the reports? Got a motion, second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Don't see any other reports. Any old business? It's not on here, but we do have just at least a mention to y'all because I'm going to be working with the mayor on some. I made a request prior to the start of the storm. We were getting concerns about not being able to find a warm shelter for the homeless. And so I made a request to the mayor about potentially utilizing the RC COLA, the old, where we used to do surplus. There were some concerns about safety, and so he wants to do some investigation on that first and kind of letting some people look at it before we can even entertain it. So I just wanted to keep y'all aware of it, that I am going to be working with him on that. And if we think that we can move forward with anything, I'll bring it back to this group and get your thoughts on that. So again, it's probably not going to be something we can do, but it's at least something I want to entertain, because if we can have something in an emergency situation like that to where we can open on a quick notice. It's at a perfect location because it's within walking distance of where most of them are at. And so that's kind of where that is. And so just wanted to make you aware of that. So, all right, any other new business? Any announcements? All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.